Good evening, everyone. It is me, Joaquin Watai, author of the book PTSDog, Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder, and the Service Dog. I'm here tonight to talk to you about Sunday's special live edition of the Service Dog Show. I'm excited about this. I'm bringing on a guest, Marquis Davis from DV Radio, Marquis Dirty 30, which airs Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. Marquis, a very knowledgeable man, he's pretty up to speed on a lot of political issues, but more importantly to me, Marquis has a very extensive knowledge of the civil rights movement and the history behind and reasons behind civil rights. Why am I having a guest on to talk about civil rights? Well, it's real simple. A fact that seems to be getting forgotten or lost in the service dog communities lately, and this is a disturbing trend. This bothers me, and it bothers me a lot. The fact of the matter is that the Americans with Disabilities Act is not a law about service dogs. It's not a law about wheelchairs. It's not a law about those TDW or whatever they're called, the typewritten word machines for communication, telecommunication, or for Braille on elevators. That's not what the Americans with Disabilities Law is about. Those things are addressed by the law in order to codify the fact that all Americans, regardless of their level of ability or disability, are to have equal access, the same as anybody else, anywhere they go. That's what the ADA is about. The service dog section of the law is but a small portion. And a lot of places, the law really spells things out in depth. Ramps for sidewalks and curbs in order to allow wheelchair users easy access. The width of doors in new construction, width of aisles, for example, in layout in a grocery store, so that wheelchair users or people using walkers have easier, the equal ability to access that business, just like somebody who can walk in of their own power without any assistance because they're able-bodied. That is what the Americans with Disabilities Act is about. Equality, not service dogs. Service dogs are a very small part of a very large and very important law, because up to that point, there was not a lot of options for a lot of people with multiple disabilities in order to be accommodated, in order to be able to live more, I don't want to say the word normal, but to be able to live more accessible lives, to be able to get into places, to go places, to fit into a bathroom stall at a restaurant in their wheelchair. Okay, before the law said, look, we have to make sure that we make things as equally accessible for all these people as possible, there weren't a lot of wheelchair accessible stalls with handrails in public bathrooms, which made those kind of places, restaurants, movie theaters, wherever, very difficult for a person in a wheelchair to be able to go and enjoy, because it wasn't comfortable. It wasn't made accessible. There were not accommodations made in order for them to be able to access it with the same ease as an able-bodied person. Why is this getting missed in the service dog community? Because a lot of people are more interested in a false sense of security than they are in equality. And I'm sorry if that fact offends you, but it is a fact. There are service dog handlers, disabled people with fully trained service dogs, trained service animals that are working out there trying to turn service dog handlers into second-class citizens. into citizens who have less access than all the people around them by limiting our right, not privilege, our right to use a service dog trained to assist us with our disability. They're trying to take away that right, relegate it to a privilege, force us to use registration and licensing and force us to go through and jump through government hoops in order to be acknowledged as being disabled and able to use a service dog. I don't want to talk about that in depth right now. I just want to let you know that's where we're going on Sunday. And I'm bringing in somebody who's quite knowledgeable on civil rights because we're going to discuss what the fact that the Americans with Disabilities Act is a civil rights law means. We're going to look at history so we can understand what the concept of a civil rights law is. And we can understand why it is discriminatory. It is discrimination, active discrimination, as the law stands in the United States of America, to require disabled people to register or certify their service dogs. I've been discriminated against. I've been called ugly names, told to leave places because I have brown skin, because I'm of Hispanic descent. That's an ugly, ugly way to feel. It's just as ugly when you're discriminated against with your dog, your service dog, trained to assist you with your disability, because what they're really doing is discriminating against you for being disabled. And that's just as wrong as discriminating against somebody because of the color of their skin. Yet we have people who should know better wanting to surrender their rights, just give them up for a false sense of security because they've been attacked in Walmart or the grocery store or whatever by somebody assuming their rights and bringing an untrained dog, a dog that does not fulfill the requirements of the Americans with Disabilities Act, into that business. Not only that, but the business then has not enforced their right to request that a dog that is obviously untrained, that is not under control, that is disruptive, that is not housebroken, be removed from their business because they're so afraid of being sued. My dog is trained. My dog fulfills the requirements of the Americans with Disabilities Act above and beyond that standard that the law sets. Why then do I need to go prove myself in order to be treated equally and have access like anybody else simply because I use a service dog to assist me with my disability? I'm not breaking the law, yet I have to go register and certify. Legitimate service dog handlers with task-trained service dogs are not the problem. Punishing us in order to try to control the problem of untrained dogs in public places where they don't belong, making us bear the burden of it, making us do proof, that goes against the very liberty that this nation was founded on. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into that deep on Sunday with our friend Marquis. I hope you join me. In order to listen to the Service Dog Show live, you need to do one of two things. You can go to dvradio.net and click on the Listen Here button right at the top of the page. Follow the instructions and it will play. You can also download the Live 365 app on your phone. Hang on a second, I'll pull it up for you and show you. Now, this is an Android phone. I have no idea if it looks the same on a iPhone. I'm sorry, I don't. Okay, the Live 365 app. Sorry about the glow. And search. There's a search icon right here. Hit search. Type in DV Radio. That little DV Radio logo will come up. Click it, and you can listen live. But you can also join the chat at dvradio.net when you're opening up that web page on mobile or mobile device, your mobile web browser, and it says click here to listen and click here to chat. There's a chat room on dvradio.net. This is part of why I'm talking to you tonight and inviting you. I really want people to be listening, be in the live audience, in the chat audience. There's a chat function on dvradio.net. The great thing about doing a live show and having people in the chat is that we can take questions live. Well, there's a little bit of a delay, like 2 or 3 seconds, because of the way Live 365 works. But what I'm saying is, if you have questions, if you'd like clarification on a point that we're covering, you can ask it, and we can see it while we're broadcasting, and we will respond. We will answer your questions. That is a great feature. It's a great function. It works similarly to the way it works right here, where Roberto's typed good evening, Roberto. Same thing. We see the comments in the chat, and we can either answer in chat or we can answer on the radio live. This is an important discussion, friends. Listen, as a community, as a whole, service dog handlers, as a community, we need to understand what that means. We need to understand fully what the Americans with Disabilities Act means. We need to understand fully that if we exercise our right to use a task-trained service dog, protected by, not granted by, the Americans with Disabilities Act, then we have the responsibility to do so appropriately, meaning train your dog, control your dog, train your dog, train your dog. And if your dog's having a bad day and you're unable to gain control, remove the dog immediately. You can go shop later or another day if your dog's not having a good day. I have turned around and walked right back out of the store with Skeeter because he was just not there that day. Done it more than once. Yeah, I almost left a class that I'm taking at the VA Thursday morning because Skeeter was being squirrely. And Skeeter's being squirrely because he's blowing his coat and he itches. And once we got him settled down, he was fine for the rest of the class. But at the point where the cutoff is to get into the class and get credit for being there, I almost called it and said, you know what? I can't. He's having a bad day. I got to go. Handle your service dog responsibly. Just because you have the right does not mean that you are not expected as a responsible citizen, that you are not expected to exercise that right carefully, appropriately, responsibly. We're going to get into all of that Sunday night. I'm upset, folks. I'm mad. I will tell you, I am not happy. I am not happy at this trend I'm seeing in the community, in the service dog community. I'm not happy that there are handlers out there who don't have a clue what the ADA is, don't understand what civil rights means. I don't know if it's not being taught in school anymore or what, but it's important that we understand, as citizens of the United States, protected by these laws that protect, guarantee, not grant us these rights. It's important that we understand what that means. We'll get into that in depth Sunday night. Does anybody have any questions? I'm here for a little while longer. If you need, I'll be glad to answer any questions. Oh yeah, hey, it's September, right? It's National Service Dog Awareness Month. It's also Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. I don't think that's coincidental. However, I do think that every month should be Suicide Awareness and Prevention Month. Every day should be focused on suicide awareness and prevention. In the veteran community, the number of suicides that are acknowledged by the Department of Veterans Affairs has been reduced from 22 to 20. The reason they reduced it from 22 to 20 was because they re-looked at the same survey from 2014 and changed their parameters to make it look more beneficial to them. Realistically, veteran suicide numbers are much higher. This is a problem. We need to deal with this problem. How do we deal with this problem? One veteran at a time. One-on-one. The VA's not going to come out and save us. We've got to do it ourselves. We need to take care of each other. Mara, I'm going to get to your question in a second. Hang on. Wait. Yeah, Mara, look, that's pretty common. Yes, it does say in federal law that service dogs can be owner trained. In fact, my go-to document, let me pull up the link here real quick. This document explains the Americans with Disabilities Act and specifically the portion about service dogs. I just put it into the comments, the link. That specifically addresses owner training. Why did it not go? There it goes. Okay. So if you click on that link, Mara, and scroll to question 5, right there at the top. Question 5. Does the ADA require service animals to be professionally trained? No. People with disabilities have the right to train the dog themselves and are not required to use a professional service dog training program. So, yes, it does. That is the Department of Justice's explanation of the law. How do you deal with fake service dogs? Sheila wants to know. I don't deal with fake service dogs because there's no such thing as a fake service dog. I deal with dishonest owners of dogs who lie and take their pet anywhere they feel like it by assuming the rights that we have protected by the ADA. There is no fake service dog program. No dog wakes up in the morning and thinks to itself, you know what? I'm going to put on my service dog vest today and go to the market and pee on all the corners of all the displays. No dog thinks that. It's the human who thinks, I just can't bear to leave little foo-foo at home. I have to bring her everywhere with me, and I'm just going to say it's a service dog so people will leave me alone. And they don't understand the law either, and they don't understand that what they're doing is essentially spitting in our eyes, and they're entitled jerks. So let me tell you a story. This happened a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. Skeeter and I were shopping in Walmart, and it was an early morning shopping trip, and I was hungry. And there's a McDonald's there in the Walmart, so we sat down and I had a coffee and a sausage McMuffin or whatever, and we could hear across the store and all the way across the store a small dog barking its fool head off, just making a riotous noise. And Skeeter looked at me like, oh gosh, here we go. Seriously, the dog rolled his eyes at me. He does not like out of control dogs in stores. He knows they're not supposed to behave that way. Anyway, it so happened that we had to go over in that direction to the store, because I needed a new egg pan. So we had to go over to Housewares. And we're standing in the aisle, and I'm looking at the different egg pans, trying to figure out which one I wanted. And I hear a harness jingling, and I'm like, oh boy, here we go. And sure enough, this woman comes around the corner with I'm blocking her name. As a follower called it when I told this story last week, a self-propelled dust mop. And it saw Skeeter and it lost its mind. Now, mind you, Skeeter was in a sit focused on me, looking at me. And this dog, right, 6-7 feet away, just screaming its full head off. And I looked at her in a very loud and clear voice, said, "This is how a trained service dog behaves. Your pet does not belong in the store, lady." And she turned around and ran. I do not, under any circumstances, approach other dogs in public places where they don't belong unless they're a service dog. Even if look, I follow Banner the super dog. And if I saw Coyote and Banner in the store, I'd be like, oh my God, it's Coyote and Banner. I totally fangirl out about it. But I wouldn't approach them until I communicated with Coyote and said, hey, I'm in the store. I'd love to meet you guys. I do not approach other teams not because I'm uncertain of my dog's training. I know exactly what his training is because I trained him. But because I have no idea what that other dog's training is. And they have no idea of what my dog's training is. The only time I approach another dog in public is if I know the handler and I know the dog. So how do I handle untrained dogs and entitled people in public? I will turn around and go the other way. If their dog is obviously out of control, I will simply turn around and walk the other way because of the years, not hours, not months, years of time that I have put into my service dog. It's not worth that one time. Never worth that one time that dog approaches. Does that mean that I can always control the situation? No. And things do happen. Perfect example. I was at a craft show last weekend, and Skeeter was fine. Skeeter was lying under the table in the shade where it was cool. Someone came through with their 3 pet chihuahuas that went bonkers when they saw Skeeter and went after him. I couldn't control that, but I sure had control of my dog. How do you deal with untrained dogs that don't belong in public, but their entitled asinine owners insist on bringing them? You can always go to a different store. You can always go find the management of the store and say, hey, there's an out-of-control dog in aisle 6 pooping on your floor. You have the right to ask that they remove that animal. Or you can do what I did, which was just say as loudly as possible without actually yelling. I'll say it in the exact same tone. This is how a real trained service dog behaves, lady. Your pet does not belong in the store. Wasn't rude, but it was very loud and clear. Okay? You look, and this is just the thing. Making a law requiring registration isn't going to stop these entitled jerks from dragging their self-propelled dust mops into the store. You know how I have a laser inkjet printer right over there. I could make the most realistic looking certificate in the world. Take me about 20 minutes with Microsoft Word. Shoot, I can do it on Google Docs. I can make it on my phone and make it look super official, and print it out and stick it in a nice little folder, put it up, print it on some really nice paper. You know what? Half an hour's worth of effort and a couple of bucks. I can make the most fancy, snazzy, professional, super awesome certification for my dog ever. It means absolutely nothing. It doesn't mean it's not worth the paper it's printed on. So you want us to now go to the government and register and get these, get our IDs and stuff? Man, people have been making fake IDs for 100 years. You could still go online and get a fake passport, get a fake driver's license, get a fake credit card. I mean, come on. These people are so entitled that they don't care that they are endangering legitimate handlers with task-trained service dogs who are disabled. They don't care. They're not going to care about a registration law. All you're doing at that point in time is punishing the people who aren't causing the problem. That's it. Be aware of your surroundings. Part of Skeeter's training is to help me be aware of my surroundings. When there's a dog in the store, he knows it and he lets me know. I never have a doubt whether or not there's a dog in the store. Skeeter lets me know. And, I talked a week or two ago, I talked with you all about picking up what your dog's putting down, what their body language is and stuff. Learn your dog. Know your dog. How does Skeeter let me know there's a dog in the store? His level of alertness. He hears another dog or smells another dog in the store. How do I know? Because Skeeter's ears are up, his tail is erect, and his chest is puffed out like there's another dog in here. Let's see. Let's see if it's a trained dog or not. Most of the time, because I don't go to Hellmart to spend 3 hours there, unless I need to do some training with Skeeter. I will take special trips to do specific training. But most of the time, I'm a man. I shop like a man. Get in, get what I need, get out. So most of the time, there's no issue. There's no interaction. And again, if I see another team, I take the other aisle. I go the other way. I can always circle back around to aisle 6. Let's go down to aisle 8. Okay. Simply because I don't care who, I really don't. As much as I would love to run into Coyote and Banner and meet them, and I'd love it, I would never ever approach them. It's just, and look at it this way. Listen, you know how many people just got to say something to us because we're there with a dog, and how it drives you absolutely crazy and you just get sick of hearing it over. Oh my God, your dog's so beautiful. Oh, dog, look at the dog. Look at the dog. You feel like a freaking circus show freak, right? And there's another handler with their service dog. You don't think they feel the same way? That they're not just as fed up, especially a handler of some, who has some notoriety, like Coyote and Banner. Or Justin Tucker and Roxy, the PTSD service dog, last year's America's Humane Service Dog of the Year. They're famous. They flew to Hollywood. They were on TV. They live in the same state as me. I'd love to run into Justin and Roxy. I would never approach them without getting on my phone, messaging them and saying, hey, we're shopping in the same store. You want to meet outside and let the dogs meet each other and let's talk, bro, And that's the other thing. If you're going to meet another dog, listen, going shopping with your dog in the store is a high enough stress situation. Your dog is already at a heightened level because we're working, we're focused, we're working. Okay? And then you want them to meet another dog in the middle of that aisle in a store? Do it the right way. Go outside and introduce your dogs in a controlled environment where there's no looky-loos, right? Okay? Do it safely for both you and the handler other handler and the dogs. And Skeeter's a typical Malamute. He's all, hey, how you doing? Hey, I'm Skeeter. Check me out. And then once they get to know each other after about 5 minutes, he's like, okay, you know what you're doing. You're cool. And then he doesn't care about him. And then we could go shop together or go have coffee or whatever. Because at that point, Skeeter's like, okay, you're cool. I don't care. Okay. Do it under control, that where both you and the other handler feel like you are in control of the situation for your protection and your dog's protection. But man, look, we got to change as a community, as a whole. The media has fed us this fake serving dog store, this fake service dogs, fake service dogs, fake service dogs. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as a fake dog unless you take a cat and put it in a dog costume. Okay? No dog wakes up in the morning and says, I want to put on my vest, go to the Piggly Wiggly, and terrorize everybody in the cheese aisle. Doesn't happen. Some idiot who feels entitled because they saw me, a disabled person with my task-trained service dog, working in the store. We don't go to shop, we go to work. Okay, so they saw me and Skeeter working, and they think, well, that guy could take his dog, so I should be able to bring mine. Because they're an idiot and they have no clue. But if he can do it, then I can too. No, you can't. You are not protected by the law that guarantees, not grants, my right to use a task-trained service dog to assist me with my disability. You're just an entitled knucklehead. There are, Canberra, those sites, there are a lot of those sites, and there's nothing we can do about it. I mean, First Amendment protects our freedom of speech. The only thing we can do about it is educate. Educate. There is no such thing as valid certification or registration. Okay? Except any service dog training organization can certify that dog completed its training. Okay? And some states, including my own, have voluntary registries. Okay? I absolutely refuse to use the voluntary registry. You know why? Because every time I say, oh, I'm sick of this, and whip out that registration card, what I just did was teach that gatekeeper that registration is required. And the next handler who comes in, who may be traveling from out of state and needs to stop to get some bread, right? They come in and the person says, stop, I need to see your registration. And they go, there's no such thing as registration. It's federal law does not recognize or require it. And they go, the last team that came in, see, and I just became that guy. The last service dog that was in here peed all over aisle 13. Well, that's not this service dog. But the last dog that came in here, you become that guy. Don't use the registries. Not only that, but think about this, and I'm calling out North Carolina. The North Carolina state registry law that says it is voluntary also says that in North Carolina it's a criminal offense to interfere with a working service dog. But they will only prosecute it and they will only protect you, the disabled handler's rights, if you register your dog. That's wrong. That's discrimination. If you surrender your rights to the government, then the government will protect you. That's not why the government was formed. That's not constitutional. I really don't want to get into a situation where I have to call the police. But if it happens and a North Carolina judge refuses to enforce North Carolina law because I'm not a part of the registry, I, at that point, have a great civil rights lawsuit against the state of North Carolina, and I can change that law. But the only way to change that law is, unfortunately, for something terrible to happen to Skeeter and I. But that's how those kind of laws get fixed, is they get challenged in court after something happens. That's the other reason why a registry or certification isn't going to help you. The police don't show up before a crime occurs. They get a call during or after the crime. They respond, right? Somebody brings in an untrained dog and the business says, you can't come in here, and they go, watch me, and walk past them, right? And they call the police. That dog's already in the store. That dog's already going to do whatever that dog's going to do, because that registration card, that person said, yeah, whatever, blew past them, right? They don't care. They already don't care because they're taking an untrained dog in. You think they're going to care about a registry? Have you met some of these people? I have. They're idiots. They're entitled idiots. And by the time the police show up, something's going to have happened. A kid's going to get bit. Your dog's going to get attacked. Something will have already happened. It's too late at that point. Kyle, yeah. Yep. And that's, you know what, unfortunately, look, I've dealt with a couple of hotel chains and had those issues. I have called their corporate offices and said, look, I'm an author and an educator. I will come talk to you and train you guys free. I don't want any money. Give me a hotel room for the night. I'll come down and I'll train you your corporate guys. I'll teach you about the Americans with Disabilities Act. I'll give you access. I'll show you where to find the government-provided documents to get out to your businesses. Right? Nope. In one ear and out the other. Yes. Are we obligated as handlers to educate? Absolutely not. Nowhere in the law does it require us to do it. Is it beneficial for ourselves and for other legitimate teams out there to educate? Absolutely. Are all of us capable of it? No, we're not. Although I hope I'm fairly well spoken and I do understand the subject thoroughly, there are days when I can't educate. There are days when I've just had enough. I got some blowback for the meme I made the other day, reminding people that Skeeter's not there for their entertainment or their children's. And I wrote a little bit about that. At that point, I was done. You know what? You have the right to privacy. Just because you use a service dog, it does not give anybody nobody, the right to get in your face, ask you questions, bug you. You have the right to just live your life. And it's okay to say, please leave him alone, or her, your dog. He's working. And it is okay to stand up for yourself and your rights. And if they persist, it's okay to scream for help. Okay? If you're cornered and you're having one of those days and you just can't, big stores like Hellmart have people trained. Nevermore's one, asset protection associates. People trained to get there when customers are in danger. Scream for help. I very politely said, ma'am, he's a working service dog. Please don't. Twice to that lady. The third time I was going to use shorter words, ones with 4 letters, because she wasn't getting it. And she was hollering at the top of her lungs, oh my God, I just have to see this dog. I just have to talk to him. No, you do not. He is a service dog and he is working. You have the right to be firm and assert your right to personal space and privacy. Is it hard? Yes. Could you have a panic attack right afterwards? Absolutely. I'm tired been 8.5 years, 7 of them working in public. I'm tired of a 30-minute shopping trip to Walmart taking an hour and 45 minutes because I get stopped every 10 feet. And if you think that I'm lying and that's hyperbole, I will find a way to get my hands on a GoPro and I will video a typical Walmart shopping trip on any day of the week. And you can count how many times I get stopped. You can count how many. I want to get one of those clickers. You remember those clickers when you're, going on a field trip and they want to make sure they had every student, so they had that little steel clicker, click, 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 right? I want to get one of those so I can click every time somebody has to say something about my dog as I move through the store. Oh my gosh, a dog, click. Look at the dog, click. Oh my God, look at that husky. It's so big, click. I want to do that. I want to do that. I've also been running an informal experiment, vest versus no vest. And I have discovered that with the vest on that says service dog, he's safe to approach because it's a service dog, so it's not going to bite you. Whereas with no vest, I get less interference because people don't know if that's a safe dog or not because it's not really marked. Subtle psychological experiment. Works better not to put his vest on when I really don't want people to bother with me. Plus, it's just too darn hot here right now. Any temperature over about 70 degrees with a double-coated dog like an Alaskan Malamute, putting a vest on him is making him suffer because his fur also protects him from heat just like it protects him from cold. And you know what, Morgan? Bullshit. You get the dog that suits your needs. That dog is not there for other people. People need to learn that. That service dog is not there to entertain anybody. That service dog is there to assist a disabled handler. I handle an Alaskan Malamute in North Carolina. There are literally people who see Skeeter walk by and have never, ever in their entire lives laid their eyes on a dog like that. Legitimately, they've never seen one. It is the first time. That still doesn't give them the right to lose their entire minds, act completely foolish, and interfere with my day or my time. Doesn't give them the right. That dog has nothing. I didn't choose that breed because he's unusual. I chose that breed because the traits of the animal fit the needs that I had in a service dog in order to assist me. I needed his size because he does give me some mobility assistance. I needed his stubbornness because when I'm at my worst, I'm not in any kind of place to give a dog reasonable commands. And he knows when I'm mad and I tell him to do something that's going to endanger me, he knows better and he refuses. And he's stubborn and he's big enough that I can't say, let's go and drag him and force him to let me get close enough to punch that knucklehead in the face. Okay? You choose the breed of dog, mutt, purebred, whatever, to fit your needs. It has nothing to do with the general public. Absolutely nothing. If a bully breed suits what you need, suits your personality, suits your activity levels, get a bully breed. But people are scared of pit bulls. That's their problem. This dog is here for me. Okay? Now, had I at the time chosen Skeeter, had I been living in North Carolina at the time, I would not have chosen a Malamute because the temperatures it's unfair. And we spend all summer in the air conditioning. Okay? At that point, and his successor will not be a northern breed. As much as I love Malamutes and I love them dearly, I'm never planning to move that far north again where it's reasonable temperatures and it's comfortable for the dog. I'm going to have to get a shorter-haired animal. So I'm looking very, very much focused in the Mastiff, the Molosser breeds, but more towards the Mastiffs because I need a large dog for mobility assistance. My back ain't getting any better and the VA ain't going to help. So I had to do it myself. Okay. That is a consideration. I never thought I'd end up in the South again. When the first time I was in the South was when I was stationed in Florida in the Navy, and I hated it because I grew up in Alaska. So imagine going from somewhere where on average the hot summer days are 70 degrees to somewhere where on average a cool winter day is 70 degrees. Yeah, I was miserable. Okay. I never expected to get to the South again. So when I lived in Colorado, Colorado has moderate temperatures that are more suitable for an Alaskan Malamute, especially up in the mountains. That's a consideration. Okay. But again, think about what your needs are and choose the dog that matches your needs. Doesn't matter what breed it is. It does not matter. As long as the dog is capable of fulfilling your needs to assist you with your disability. My needs have grown and changed. Okay. Does that mean I'm like, Skeeter's out the door? Absolutely not. This dog is my brother. I have grown with this dog over the last 8.5 years. I would never just say, you're fired. Okay. But that does mean that I've had to train him progressively to fulfill differing needs. And that when it's time to choose a successor, I will take that into consideration, what the needs are now, because my needs have changed. Bobby Joe says, "Get a Great Dane." Yeah, I've looked at Great Danes. I'm still leaning more towards the heavier, beefier dogs, the Molossers. Nothing against Danes. I think they're wonderful animals, and they are incredibly beautiful animals. But I need a sturdier. I need a little huskier, hulkier animal. Plus, they're just. I've met a couple of amazing mastiffs. A good friend of mine who has one of my Malamutes as his service dog. One of the Malamutes I bred. He had a female mastiff, English mastiff, and she was just, what a cool dog. Marvelous, marvelous dog. About Skeeter's size. I'd probably have to get a male because I'm going to need, I'm going to need a 120, 130 pound dog. Canberra says, I met your link at the pond. Miniature Aussie. I don't remember that, Canberra. I'm sorry. Did I? Apologize. Jeremy, yeah, responsible. Look, think about, King Corso, Morgan. Hey, that thought has crossed my mind. What majestic beasts! I love them. Listen, folks, your service dog is your lifeline. It is your prosthetic. It is your alert, your medical alert. It is the animal that keeps you alive. Okay, if it's not, then maybe reevaluate your disability. And that's something I come across as, well, I don't take my dog here and I don't take my dog there. Why not? Do you not actually need the dog? Then why are you using the dog? We got to think about these things as a community. Using a service dog is not a frivolous thing. Man, Canberra, I'm so sorry. I am drawing a complete blank. I apologize. I don't remember. At the lake. I met Link at the pond. I just don't remember. I apologize. Gotta love that brain damage. Go Navy. Anyway, look, we've got to think about this. This is not a frivolous look. I have severe back injury. My discs are not growing back. They don't regenerate. At some point in time, I will end up in a wheelchair. Okay. Am I just going to grab the first wheelchair I see? Or am I going to take my time understanding what my needs are? And am I going to investigate brands, look at, what's available, what's covered, what the VA will provide, versus going out and finding something better, most likely myself. Okay. What am I going to, am I just going to be like, oh, well, we'll just get a chair. Hey, there's one for $30 on Craigslist. No. Okay. I'm going to look for the best, most suited chair, right? Well, it's the same with service dogs. Am I going to need a power chair? Am I going to be able to roll it? Do I need one of those really light sports chairs, or I need something a little, if my back's going, and I'm going to need a chair that's going to be able to hold me up because my back's going to stop working, right? So, you got to think those things through. Why isn't it the same with dogs? We get all these handlers out here. Who don't think these things through, don't understand the repercussions of what handling a dog means, don't get that the general public loses their freaking minds every time they see you and your dog. There's a reason that the back of the shirt says keep calm. It's a dog, not a unicorn. Because people lose their minds like a unicorn just walked into the store. Okay. So I made a snarky t-shirt. It works sometimes. People read my t-shirt and go, maybe we shouldn't bug that guy. Okay. We need to think these things through. This is why this page exists, because I discovered in my journey with Skeeter that a lot of handlers didn't ever think about any of this stuff. And I am the kind of person that I do think about this kind of stuff. I do investigate. I do read, So I started this project in order to do a little of the heavy lifting for people. Does that mean that everybody should just listen to me and do what I say? Absolutely not. Think for yourselves. If you don't believe something I tell you, go look it up. I'll give you the reference. The book. I wish my copy's on the other side of the room. The book, PTSDog, Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder in a Service Dog. Every single statement I make as fact in that book, I back up with a reference. There's a footnote. There's a little number, and you go to the bottom of the page, and it gives you the reference. I'm not just saying this because I think I know it. I back it up. I give you the references. I want you to think for yourselves. I want you to go look it up. I want you to be as well-versed in the ADA as I am. We all should be, because this is what keeps us alive. Especially, and I'm not trying to exclude anyone, but look, what saves veterans and keeps them alive better than anything else? It's not pills. It's not counseling. It's not therapy. It's their service dogs. Every single veteran I know who handles a service dog is still alive. I had one of my good friends, a veteran, tell me last night, you saved my life. No, I didn't. Your dog did. Well, but you gave him to me. Look, I'd do it all over again because you're still here and you're my friend. He said, I didn't think I would be here if you hadn't gotten that dog to me. I didn't save his life. I just gave him the tools to save it himself. I gave him the dog, taught him what he needed to do. How he needed to train his dog. And let me tell you, that team right there, his dog is one of the best trained service dogs I know. In some ways, better than Skeeter. Because he took me at my word, and he trained his dog. He was like, well, I'm going to see if I can train my dog better than Skeeter. And he did. Good on you, brother. Awesome. Outstanding. That's exactly the way we need to be doing this stuff. I see that service dog team and I go, this is something I I want, my next service dog to do. At this point, 8.5 years of age, Skeeter's Skeeter's set in his ways. He's old and he's grouchy. And although, like I said, every outing is a training opportunity. It's absolutely a training opportunity. More often than not, I'm the one who's getting trained, but every outing is a training opportunity. Okay. I still have that attitude, but I'm not going to add anything new and pile stuff onto his list. I just see other teams and and things that they do and say, there's something I need to remember because that's something I'd like my next service dog to do. Skeeter is terrible at a distance, like at the barber shop. I can't park him over in a chair over there and come sit in the barber chair. Why? Because he's trained to be at my side at all times. The only place he's not required to be at my side at all times is home. So I'm taking a dog whose whole life has been trained that he's supposed to be right here to help keep me safe, right? And I'm telling him, but not here. That's confusing to him. How do you get around that? Well, train a place command. I didn't know that when I trained Skeeter, 7 years ago, 8 years ago. That wasn't something I'd learned yet. So I didn't train it to him. Training it to him now, yes, I can do it, but how much am I going to get out of it at this point? It's something to put on the list for next time. Okay. Am I upset that Skeeter won't sit over there at the chairs while I'm in the barber chair? Absolutely not. I explained to the barber, I'm sorry. He's trained to be by my side at all times. I just got a haircut last Friday. With Skeeter right by my side. And she, in the barber, she was wonderful. She thought it was marvelous to see how well trained he was. And that he just laid there and was fine. He was quiet, Did he come out covered with as much of my hair as he's got his hair? Yes. Well, that's on me to brush him off and clean him up, Small price to pay. All right, let's see. Let's see here. Sorry, we'll catch up on the. How do you keep Canberra? Like I said earlier, how do you keep people from bugging your dog? Excuse me, this is a working service dog. Please don't distract him. Be firm. Stand up for yourself. If you have, I don't remember if you're married, I apologize. If you have a husband, boyfriend, teenage child, whatever, right? Ask them to help protect you from people who think that they have, because you have a service dog, they have a right to interfere with your day. It's not rude to stand up for yourself and say, excuse me, that's my service dog and he's working. Please don't distract him. It's not rude to stand up for yourself when people are being rude to you, because that's what that is. They don't care about you when they interfere with your day and have to stop you because they just have to see the dog. That is 100% about them satisfying themselves, their needs. Has nothing to do with you and your needs. That dog's there for you, not them. Stand up for yourself. Say no. It's absolutely okay to do that. Logan, I'm glad people read your patch. It's not always the case. Sometimes I wonder if people are literate at all. Heidi, I've seen your dog and she's just as cute as a button. I love her. It's weird. You know what? I remember Heidi's dog, but I don't remember. I don't remember meeting Canberra. We're all, you know what? I had an appointment with the neuropsychologist last week, and he said, I remember people's dogs, but I won't remember your name next week. But I remember Skeeter. Sure enough, because he's teaching the class I'm going to at the VA. Sure enough, he remembered Skeeter. People are weird. We do funny things that way. I don't know why. If a dog strikes me, you're darn right I'll remember that dog. Now, see, Logan, this is the other thing. This is the other thing that's so weird with Skeeter. I've posted pictures. I'll put him in a sit stay in the middle of the meat aisle. I mean, sit 2 feet away from raw meat in the grocery store, walk away to go grab a bag because, you know, the chicken's a little runny sometimes or whatever, to put it, you know, to protect my other food, right? And he won't budge, but sit down in a barber chair and he's got to be up my butt. Why? It's a dog psychology thing. I could literally park him at one end of an aisle in the grocery store, walk all the way to the other end of the aisle, back to him, not even look back, turn around, walk all the way back, and he hasn't moved a muscle. It's not that he doesn't have a downstay. It's in that situation. And maybe he thinks the barber's attacking me. I don't know. Maybe it has to do. I don't know if you can still see the scar. I have a little scar up here somewhere. I was splitting up pieces of tinder, firewood, and I hit a piece with my hatchet and it jumped up and it cut my forehead. So I went to the emergency room because it was stitch worthy. And so the doctor was cool, civilian emergency room. The VA was 40 miles away. No, it was further than that. So I had to go to the civilian emergency room. Doctor happened to have been a VA doctor on rotation at that hospital, which was kind of cool. Anyway, docs start stitching me up, and yes, the man covered in tattoos. I hate needles. Childhood injury and the memory of getting stitches before the Novocaine had set in. I do not like stitches. I can't. Anyway, so Doc's on my right side, starting to stitch me up. All of a sudden, there's Skeeter's head. I didn't tell him to do this. He figured it out. All of a sudden, there's Skeeter's head, butt in my hand, and he made me pet him while I was getting stitches. Best stitches I ever got in my life. Didn't feel a thing. I was petting my dog. Maybe that's why he thinks somebody's doing something to my head, the barber. He thinks he needs to be right next to me because it might hurt and I might need him. I don't know. I don't know what goes on in his brain. I can tell you circumstances that make it seem like maybe that's the case. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, Sam. Senior moments, right? I'm not calling you old. I'm calling me old. Oh, people who make a huge deal because they're afraid of dogs. Okay. Walk the other way, lady. Just don't approach my dog. Is that hard? Well, I have to shop in this aisle. So do I. Wait until I'm done. You know? How hard is it? This is just the thing. You know what? People get so upset about being inconvenienced, right? I can't believe you bring this dog in here. I'm allergic. Go around us. You're allergic to, let's say, grapes too. Do you not go shop in the produce section because you're allergic to grapes, or do you just avoid the grapes? Why can't you do the same with a service dog? You know, seriously. Or people, yeah, and Morgan, so that's how you deal with the fear of dogs. Hey, you know, if you were allergic to grapes, would you not shop in produce? Well, that don't make any sense. Then why are you throwing a fit because you're allergic to my dog? Just go around. Unless you look, dog allergies, you have to touch the dog and be exposed directly to your skin, to the dander or to its saliva. That's how dog allergies work. My dog's not going to lick you, and if you just sidestep half an inch, it won't touch you, and you'll be perfectly safe. Yeah, Sam, I'm only 47, but I feel like I'm 70. I hear you. Jessica. Remember when I messed up my arm and I had to have surgery? That scar healed really well. That one is a hot mess. The physical therapist at the surgeon's office, nice guy, cool guy. Skeeter, for some reason, loved him and just absolutely had to. I mean, he just was. This is one of my people, Dad. You got to let me say hi to him. And we're sitting there in an appointment, and he's talking to me about what kind of exercises to do and stuff to get my arm going back. And Skeeter stuck his nose up the leg of his slacks. Like, you're just so cool. I gotta smell you. And I'm like, oh my God, Nevermore was mortified. We're like, Skeeter, have you lost your mind? And he just laughed and he said, it's okay. Look, Jessica, when you're getting help from somebody and you're grateful, you release hormones. There are chemicals that your brain dumps that signal that you're grateful, and your dog can smell those. So the dog knows, oh, mommy's happy. So I'm happy that person, dogs have enough capability to put two and two together. Mommy happy. That person made mommy happy. I'm grateful to that person. Dogs are pack animals. They want to reinforce that this is a good thing to other people, to other dogs. It's not, is it okay as long as the person wasn't horribly offended? It's fine. Do you want it to be a regular thing? No. So you correct your dog. Leave it. It's not great, but it's not awful. It's not the end of the world. It's not out of control. Now, if they bit the person, yeah, that's an issue. But a little kiss to say thank you, it's not a problem. I don't see it as a problem. If somebody is that upset about it and offended by it, find a different doctor. Find a different doctor. But yeah, for some reason, Skeeter loved my surgeon and my physical therapist. I don't know why. Yeah, she laughed. Yeah, like I said, the physical therapist was like, "That's okay. I love dogs. It's no problem." I was mortified, but he was like, "It's no big deal." Other than that, Skeeter was just fine. He just happened to really like that guy. I don't know. Okay, I've been blabbering on for a while, guys. I do need to wrap it up. So just a reminder, the whole reason I started this short live video, Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, dvradio.net or on the Live 365 app. A live edition of the Service Dog Show. We are going to talk about civil rights and how the ADA fits in that. It's an educational show. You can join us on dvradio.net. Click the Listen Now button, and then click the Chat Now button, I think it says, and you can join us in chat. I would really encourage you to do that. Marquis is a very well-educated, very knowledgeable man about civil rights in the United States, the history, and the reasons. And I chose it. I've heard him speak about civil rights. He is eloquent. He is well-educated, and he packs a punch. And I'm excited about this show. Please join us. It's live, 8 p.m. Eastern, dvradio.net, or find it by searching DV Radio on the Live 65 app. Please come to the chat, sign in. You can you can be completely anonymous, make whatever name you want. It doesn't matter. Sign in so that you can ask us questions live. I will not be able to see, it's not being simulcast on Facebook. This is on DV Radio and the Live 365 app. Please join us. This is going to be a good discussion. We are going to get into the depths of discrimination and why registries, certifications under U.S. law are discriminatory. What that means, what the fact that the ADA is a civil rights law means. This is going to be a good one, folks. Thank you for your time. Have a great evening. Appreciate you joining me. And that's all I've got.